Now, I promise this is probably gonna be the last video I make about the All-Star game, but the dialogue kind of continues on how to fix the NBA, and this time, the NHL did something a little bit different this year that a lot of people over at ESPN believe that the NBA could really take notes on to better the product. So let's see if there's any validity behind it.
And to the NBA, where mixed reviews continue to come in about that new format from the All-Star game from this past weekend. Biggest issue the players have, and they brought up, involved the number of breaks between the games and the timing of the games just being too short. In fact, one player who voiced his opinion, you saw him there on the weekend, Kevin Durant, took to social media saying, quote, "I think it's more fun to complain about the NBA than to actually watch it."
I think KD does have a point. Y'all love to complain for the sake of complaining. Like the amount of people I sat there and saw complain about LeBron not dressing up for the All-Star photo. And the audacity I hear people saying, he could have played some basketball. And it's like, bro, Giannis didn't play. Anthony Edwards, not only did he not play, he didn't even take a picture either. Like there's so many things that we could have complained about, but y'all are deciding to complain about something that's not really worth complaining about. And the thing that really bothers me is that these complaints actually cover up real legitimate problems that face the NBA. But bro, I'm watching grown men talk about a photo op as if they're gonna like blow up the picture hanging up on their wall and wake up in the morning and be like, oh man, oh sucks LeBron, oh man, you just ruined the picture, LeBron. Y'all not gonna do that. So y'all be complaining about things that aren't really worth complaining about.
What I will say is we want to see you guys hoop. It's more fun for everybody to see you guys hoop. And I would like you to take a page out of Ja Morant's book. When Ja Morant tweeted and he said, hey, I'll come out and I'll get in the dunk contest. Mac make me get in the dunk contest. KD's your favorite hooper's favorite hooper. If KD comes out and says, I'm going to compete, I'm going to take an old school mentality in the All-Star game, then I guarantee these young guys will fall in line and these young guys will come out and start hooping. He has that influence and they respect him like that.
Bobby, where you stand on that?
I disagree with that. I think a lot of people, we don't want to say it, but I think a lot of people don't actually perform in an all-star game. A lot of them are actually foreigners. Outside of like Giannis and Wemby, like Sengun is not going 100%. Luka and Jokic quite literally make it a joke to not play hard. I think it was last year, the year before that, they were literally playing like hot potato amongst one another. They're not as influenced as some of the younger players are on the older generation because they didn't grow up watching necessarily like LeBron, KD, and Curry, or at least not as influenced by them as a lot of people would want you to believe.
Now, look, not everybody's only offering complaints about the current format. Giannis weighed in on a possible format solution inspired by the four nations and what we're seeing in the NHL. The NBA, he says, considering, let's say, a USA versus a world team format. Take a listen.
I would love that, and for sure, like I'll take pride to that. I always compete, but like I think that will give me a little bit more extra juice. Having like Shea, Jokic, Luka, Wemby, Towns, Shagun, like having all those players going against the best US players, I think it'll be fun.
Hey, we kind of just did that. We literally just did that. The teams were broken up into OGs, young players, and world, and the world literally just lost by 20 points in a game to 40. I personally believe the problem that we just faced right now was the fact that the games were to 40 and we were having 2 to 3 breaks in between these games. It was actually ridiculous. But let's see what the NHL expert has about ratings.
And hanging around with us all morning here talking about some hockey. You heard what Giannis says. He says, hey, I think what we should do is, let's say, the world take on the American players in the NBA. Kind of somewhat sort of what are you doing in the NHL? What do you think?
Well, listen, hockey's a different sport from the NBA. You can't compare the cultures because of the way the game is played. You can step on an NBA floor and go through the emotions. You can't do that in hockey. You can't. Like, the culture of our sport, you have to play it with passion. You have to be willing to fight. You have to be willing to leave it on the ice. That's what fans are investing in. So for us, when we charge $1,500 for a ticket to come to Fortnite, fans know what they're getting. Cale Makar, the best defenseman in the world, wasn't in the lineup for this game. This was the most viewed game that we've had in years. And you see it, it's because it's not just based on the skill and talent.
Bro, I'm sorry, I can't take this shit serious. I'm supposed to take y'all actually believing that people tune in to watch passion and people play hockey when the highlight that they showed was just people fighting? Like, I can't take it serious, bro. They tune in to watch you fight. That's the only thing that was really compelling. That's why everyone tuned in. In 1994, when there was a ratings problem, people back then started to compare the NHL to the NBA. Oh, NHL hot, NBA not, and all the things that people had complaints about, and then come to find out that was was a blip in time and nobody cared anymore. Then in 2004, around the mid-2000s, we had the same conversation, but this time it was more so about the cultural representation and how people perceive the NBA. Because in the NBA, when people start to show passion and that might spill over into a little bit of back and forth and tussling and fighting, then they're labeled as thugs. But in the NHL, when they have their passion being shown with them fighting, they care. They care so much, and that's why I love the NHL. ESPN is even doing y'all a disservice. They're just showing y'all fighting.
It's based on the pride, honor, playing for the guy next to you. I got a question for the NBA players. What the hell are you playing for? What are you playing for? It's not about the money. You make all the money. What, you're injured? Well, there's a difference between being hurt and injured. Are you hurt or are you injured? There's a difference. In hockey, we play hurt. We play injured. That is the culture of the sport. It's always been that way. There was no issue when Jordan was around. There was no issue when Kobe was around. There's no issue when Sidney Crosby's around.
Shout out to the NHL, because y'all had an amazing weekend, amazing stretch of hockey, and it was very compelling and something that a lot of people tuned in to watch. I think it peaked at like 10 million views at one point. I don't want to spend too much time focusing on the NHL aspect, because unlike this gentleman, when I don't know enough about something, I tend not to spend that much time speaking about something that I am unknowledgeable about, because I don't want to sound ignorant and place labels on things that are incorrect. However, I will say this. If you say that the culture around the NHL has always been this way, it's always been about pride, it's always been about passion, it's always been about this fire desire, then why the hell are y'all ratings down? Why is it that you all had to cancel y'all All-Star game to bring in this, if it's always been this way? Why is it that peaking at 10 million viewership is the most views that y'all have ever had on ESPN? The most views that y'all have had since 2014. This isn't just for a regular season game. Any playoff game that they've ever had, any game. 10 million views is the peak of what they've seen since 2014. So you're telling me that y'all always have played with this passion, this fire, this desire to put it all out on the line. So why isn't that no one isn't watching then? But now let me pivot back to what I actually do know, way more than this gentleman does. This whole idea of, back in my day, this had happened with Kobe. Yes, it did. It happened right next to Kobe. His own teammate in Shaq, we had to question his level of dedication to the game. And he'll come out and tell you that he was not as dedicated as he should have been. Allen Iverson will tell you that he was not as dedicated as he should have been. Too many people just view the game through such a nostalgic lens that they say certain things out of ignorance. And this brother, either he's unaware of the things that happened, or he's just speaking through nostalgia and lying about the things that occurred in previous eras. But everything that's happening now happened back then. Shaq literally left a rising star in Penny Hardaway because his ego would never allow him to stand next to him without it being justified that he's the man, either on the court or on paper. That's who Shaq was as a player. Y'all love to just wipe all that away as if like that wasn't happening in the 90s. But that's who Shaq was. My biggest issue, especially when it comes to ESPN, is platforming people like this who are uninformed about what's going on. Respectfully, I don't want to hear this man's opinion about something that he is ill-informed about. He doesn't know what he's talking about. If you're more so concerned about ratings, explain to us why the ratings of the NHL were down 28% before we got to this weekend. Passionate fire, oh my God. The desire, the will, down 28% before we got to this weekend. How the fuck is that possible?
I have not sat down and watched the NBA consistently. I love basketball. Love the players. I think LeBron's great. I think KD's great. Steph Curry, love watching them. But you got to be on the court. You got to be there, and when you're there, you got to go all in. The fans got to feel that they're getting their money's worth. And right now, there's a big difference between what the NHL's doing with those events and what the NBA's doing. Four Nations works because the players are all in. They're all in.
No, the Four Nations work because it's a compelling storyline. It's not because they're all in, because the only way that you're ever going to figure out that they're all in is if you actually tune in to watch. So before the event even starts, there's drama that was already built up because we get to see something that y'all had already been discussing before we got here, similar to what Giannis is talking about against USA versus the world. The reason why it was so compelling in the Olympics is because USA had just lost in FIBA, and this was going to be the last time that we were going to more than likely see LeBron, KD, and Curry play at the Olympic game. And that's why it was compelling. Before Curry even made that shot, before LeBron and KD even stepped foot on the floor, it was going to be compelling hoops because of the storyline that had presented itself. That's it. But you can't tell me that the culture has always been passion, fire, desire, the will to want. We put it all on the line, and then yet it was a ratings drop to near 30% before we got to this point. If the NBA had a finals finals run where throughout the entire finals, they were only averaging 7, 8, 9 million. And at their absolute highest, it was 10 million. And they peaked at 10 million. That would be an utter failure for the NBA.
After year, decade after decade, it's been a slow process in growing the game. Yes, it's not growing. It didn't grow as fast as we wanted to get to this point. But why is that? Because the team aspect. No one's bigger than the game. And I've had to, coming into hockey, being a guy who has personality, different interests, I was up against that. But that's a strong part of the culture we don't want to change. And we might be the strongest in all the sports with the team aspect. But now what we're seeing is it all on this platform now.
Me listening to somebody go on about NHL, and I understand his passion about it because he played in the sport, but like, holy hell, bro. You would have thought the NHL was running America with viewership the way this nigga is talking. We finally reached the peaks and the mountaintops of it, and it's 10 million views. Everyone else still does more than that. Fuck.
Very good news. Apparently the NHL's US TV ratings are in the toilet compared to last year. This is not good for the league and especially not good for the salary cap going up. Viewership is down 22%, apparently going from an average of 480,000 roughly to 370. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting
Bro, I'm sorry, dog. I can't take a fucking league serious where y'all niggas are going down from under 500,000 to 370. Bro, come on. Your career high is still lower than what they average. It's like me losing weight and I'm still obese, but somebody who was a fitness instructor gained a couple of pounds and I'm like, let me show you how to fucking get in shape. Like, nigga, shut the fuck up.
because basically everybody is already watching hockey in Canada. But yeah, I don't think this is like end of the world yet. Let's see how the NHL playoff numbers are, but this is definitely concerning and something to monitor. I think Carlo Koliakovo makes a very good point as to why this might be. The NHL regular season, while I watch a ton of it, to the casual fan, it is kind of boring and meaningless to them. We need to have better rivalries, have more storylines in terms of players like hating each other, have better marketing of stars, and also get rid of the stupid divisional playoff format.
Oh, it's the same shit! It's the same complaints! Oh my... So you're telling me a fan of the fucking sport has the same complaints that we have in the NBA and the audacity of you to run up there because y'all had a career high and talk about how much better the league is in contrast to the NBA, and come to find out fans are basically saying the same thing? Shut up, bro. Oh my God. Shut the fuck up.
Through 50 nationally broadcast games, the 2024-2025 NHL regular season is averaging 394,000 viewers on linear television, down 14% from this time last season. The biggest question that I have here, and this obviously has nothing to do with the Canadian numbers, are ratings down or are more people streaming, or is it somewhere in between? Because look, that's alarming to me. What do you guys think? Is this...
Oh, no. Hey, this nigga is a... I love it. Hey, shout out to PK, because the way you was talking, bro, you was talking with so much passion, you would have thought like the state of the NHL was on the up and up. I didn't even know I knew the ratings were down, but I didn't know it was this bad. Niggas showing pictures of the stadium and it's empty? I know what I'm talking about. The NHL's on the up and up, and this is why we do it right in the NHL. Well, why the fuck are your ratings down then? Nigga, people just complain for the sake of complaining, and there are much bigger problems going on with all sports leagues. Shout out to PK, though. Hey, man, I fuck with it, dog. I really do now. I fuck with it. We need more people like PK in the NBA. We need people to go in front of a television and just straight up lie about our sport. Just straight lie about it. That's what we need. That's really what we need.